that. What's up, everybody? How you doing? It's Mike Watson, and we are here for another epic episode of Chat and Draw. But not just any episode, the 150th episode of Chat and Draw. Can you freaking believe this? 150 of these bad boys right here that I have done in just little over than a year. 150. That's a lot of chatting. That's a lot of drawing. Oh my goodness gracious. Hey, I'm ecstatic. All right, right now we're streaming across all the platforms of Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. What else? My Freestyle Comics page, the Chat and Draw page. And whatever reason, we are not connected to Instagram, but I don't have time to figure it out right now. I will work on that at some other point during the show and try to see if I can get that working, because it was working last week and now it's not. But we shall see. I'm not going to let it hold me down because this is episode 150, y'all. Yes, yes. But you know what I do have to do? That little thing that we always have to do every time we come on here. I have to make it public on Facebook so I can see these Facebook comments as they come in. And while we're doing that, I want to talk about the editor-in-chief of Freestyle Comics, Danny Cooper, and how he's a jerk. I don't know how somebody who works with the IP that they are a part of can dug and drag a character as much as Danny Cooper does. You know, he's the editor-in-chief of FSK, and he just really hates Carla. It makes no sense. He put out 3 new memes today, and they each stabbed me in the heart with how vicious they are about Carla. And, you know, I'm not going to beg anybody to take Carla's side, but what I will say is, back to Hotshot Kickstarter and read it for yourself and make your own judgments whether Carla is right or wrong. Because I will do that. I will plug it. I will. All right, because look, the only update I have for what's going on with me right now is this Kickstarter, the Hotshot Collection Kickstarter. We are out here kicking it right now. We got 13 days left, and I've got a big update for that. We have broken $8,500. Kind of coincides with 150 episodes. I may be stretching. But we're at $8,564. That means we have broken another stretch goal. That means we have unlocked another digital wallpaper to give to you guys for free on top of your backing. All right? And we've broken 151 backers. That means we've unlocked another digital comic book from our awesome digital comic book library. And we are giving you Broke Down in 4 Dead Bodies #1 as the next digital comic. But wait, there's more. Travis was on the show last night, and I drew his character, Voodoo Witch Doctor, last night. He's getting that colored right now. And if you pledge to Travis's Kickstarter and my Kickstarter, you will get that piece with your Kickstarter. But you have to pledge to his and mine. It's in the update that I just put it, so go and check that out. But then Travis said, I'm not done gifting you anything. He said, if we do the 10 for 10, because you know that's what I want. I want us to hit $10,000. Because if we hit $10,000, you win. Not me, but you do, because you get the new issue of Hotshot that has not been released yet. Number 10, hence the 10 for 10. You get that for free on top of all the awesome you're already getting. Travis said, I'll raise you another one. He's going to give us Cthulhu Invades Oz, 168 digital comic book with a slew of indie all-stars in here with 2 IPs that, for whatever reason, no one else but the ingenious of Travis thought to put these 2 things together. Cthulhu invading the Wizard of Oz. That's crazy. And I got a story in there that I did myself, too. So 168 pages. You're going to get that on top of Hotshot 10, and plus you get to see me freak the freak out. If we hit 10,000, I'm going to add the Get in Shape stress goal because I've been visiting a lot of Chipotle. I'm going to do 100 push-ups. Live. On TV. I may die, but I'll do it. Like, you know, from the afterlife or something, I'll figure it out. But 100 push-ups if we hit 10,000. That's what I'm going to do for you guys. All right, so I got one little commercial that I want you guys to check out because I think it's stupid funny. And you know what? I might not be, maybe my sense of humor is off. I don't know. But I like to think that I'm a funny guy. So we're going to pull this up here on this local video here. Oh, what? There it is. Check this out.
Hi, I'm Mike Watson, local comic creative. Also known as the most enthusiastic person in comics. I wanted to come on here because I wanted to let you know some things.
The Hot Shot Collection Kickstarter is fully funded.
We still have 14 more days left. You can get all the Hot Shot comic books on this Kickstarter. Did you know you can get all the FSK comics on this Kickstarter? Did you know if we reach $10,000 on this Kickstarter, you will get the brand new issue of Hot Shot number 10? Because I figured.
And I'm going to leave it right there at that as my final update, because the more you know. The more you know. It's that simple. All right, we're going to bring up my guest. I'm very excited to get him up here. I'm going to be drawing something. I have no idea what it is. I tried to get some layouts done or whatnot, but I just didn't have any time. So I'm going to be completely coming off the head with this new illustration, and I'm going to be drawing 3 characters, and we're going to get into all that. So next up here.
Here comes a new challenger.
Chill. I think it's time for me to save the day.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hello, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you for being on here. I appreciate it. You guys keep me in business when you come out here and visit me. So,
Gotta keep you in business for those push-ups.
hey, look.
And we want to congratulate you on your campaign. That's amazing. I hope you get your 10K very soon.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. A shout out goes to you guys too. You're putting on a clinic in how to run a Kickstarter. But before we dive into that, I know Phil is here for the first time, so we're going to do Phil's introduction. Phil, tell us who you are, what you represent, and why you're here today. We're going to give you... Oh, no, that's me. Now we're going to give it to you. Bam, there you go.
Wow, I'm big. Okay, hey everyone. I'm Phil Falco. Glad to be here. I'm a comic writer. I'm the creator of Haunting, the series, and right now we have a Kickstarter live for a crossover with Cat series Like Father Like Daughter. Other projects I have upcoming: I'm an assistant editor on Bi Visibility, a bisexual anthology run by Cat, so I'm sure she'll talk about that. And then we have a webtoon coming up called Slice of Life, a queer webtoon, so a lot to look forward to.
Awesome. And Kat, she's a regular here. I know some of you already may know who she is, but we might have that new person that just doesn't know. Kat, give me your resume.
Yes, it's a long one. I do have Like Father Like Daughter, like we mentioned. Also, they call her The Dancer, which I know is Michael's favorite book out of the bundle. So he'll be getting his soon.
I got my
you got yours?
Sign, so right here.
Oh, there she is.
Love it. Oh,
yes.
I'm so glad I got to you safely. So yeah, The Dancer. And then what Phil mentioned, we have a lot of projects coming up. The Bi Visibility Anthology, which should be coming out this summer. And then also Slice of Life, which is starting on Webtoon in July. And, Kickstarters galore. So we're keeping ourselves busy. And Comic-Cons too. So there's just a lot.
Conventions are coming back. Yes. Looking forward to that. So let's get the formalities out the way right now. No, legend, I am not doing 10,000 push-ups. I said 100. Take one of the damn zeros off of that. Get the comma out of there. Man, you're crazy.
Only one of the zeros has to come off?
Thank you. Thank you, Phil. 2 of the zeros.
No, that was it. You accepted it. You got to do 1,000.
Let's get the pleasantries out the way. Here's the link to the Haunting crossover. Go ahead and give that a share. Get a backing on that. If you're tuning in tonight to get more details on this awesome Kickstarter and you've already backed it, that's great. You can do one of 2 things for us. You can increase your pledge, or you can give us a share. Or maybe you want to do both because you're feeling generous today, because this is the 150th episode of Chat and Draw, and we're getting it in. Yeah, we are. The link is right there. All right, so talk to us about how this collaboration began. How do we get where we're at right now?
It's a long story. I'm going to let Phil take this one. I don't even know where he's going to start. So you go for it.
Let me take you back to Halloween 2020.
Okay.
So Kat and I are friends, and we had a small,
we're
socially...
in-person friends too. We should mention, in
real
real life.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And for the longest time, I knew Phil liked comics. I did not know he wrote comics. For 5 years, he didn't tell me that. He knew
Yeah.
I wrote comics. He did not tell me.
I actually knew her from her YouTube channel when I first met her, but like I played it cool because I'm a cool guy. So anyway, like yeah, we're real life friends, and back in Halloween 2020, we were having a small social distance Halloween party in Kat's backyard, and we both at this point had our series Haunting and Like Father Like Daughter going for a little while, and you know we had a few drinks and we were just joking around like, oh, what would happen if we did like a crossover, and we were like, oh, this character would interact with that character, like this character would say something stupid, you know eventually the jokes started to like get more serious, and we were just like, that sounds pretty cool. And like, we it's strange that, we know each other so long, we're both writing comics for so long, and yet the idea of doing a crossover doesn't really occur to you until you start just horsing around. But the result was, what we consider one of the best scripts we've ever written, one of the most fun stories we've ever written. We really want to go for, so we have a supernatural story on my end and a superhero story on her end. So we thought, what's the cool middle ground there? And what we ended up with was like a Saturday morning cartoon Scooby-Doo mashup. It's a lot of fun. We every time we read the script, we have a blast. Every time we see pages, we have a blast, and we're blown away by how well it's done.
And it's
Anything
pretty
you
much
want to add
done
to that?
too. Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty much done, which is really cool. Oh, I see a question from Brad. Where might I find Haunting books? We actually have catch-ups on this whole entire Kickstarter. So if you just want to catch up on Haunting, there's a tier for that. If you want to catch up on both books, there's a tier for that. So there's a way to do it. But yeah, no, I echo you. It was a lot of fun. It's still a lot of fun, and I actually want to continue that by saying that after the crossover was over, we're like, aw, I want to work together still. So now we have a webcomic, and yeah, it's been a blast. And we're doing more. And then, he helped me, Phil helped me out on the By Visibility anthology that I was going to do anyways. And I was like, hey, Phil, you want to help me out? And he's like, yeah, I'll just do it as a friend. And then how many hours did I spend at your house? Like
We had a 16-hour day about, and after that I was like, you know what, yeah, you can make me. After 16 hours, I was like, yeah, you know what? I could be the assistant editor. I think we've earned it.
Dude, isn't that awesome? Like how time can just get away from you like that. Like you just get lost in the story and the creating of it, and just having a good time with it.
We had a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me tell you, I feel every hour at my day job, but when Kat and I are making comics, we'll look at the clock and we'll be like, oh, is it 9 p.m. already? Did we start at 11 a.m.?
Oh yeah, it just flies by. And again, like we talk on the phone almost every day. We text all day long. I mean, sometimes it's just friends, but a lot of times it's just about comic books. Yeah, no, we're always in contact and just enjoying our conversations with each other and growing our stories. And yeah, we're stoked for everything that's coming up.
Awesome. So, now we've talked about Like Father Like Daughter, and we will get to that. But this is Phil's first time on Chat and Draw. Phil, talk to us about your character. How did your character come about? The origin story of it.
Sure.
And if correct me if I'm wrong, I see some facial similarities here between these two characters.
It wasn't intentional. It's not like I gave myself it's not like I gave myself as a reference to my artist. She didn't know what I looked like, but she just ran with it.
But you do like hoodies.
What was that?
You do like hoodies, and so does your main character.
I do like hoodies. I did tell her to give him a hoodie, but I don't know. I showed my mom, and she's like, "That's you." And I was like, no. Anyway, so Haunting follows Bram.
Moms know.
Moms do know. So the story of Haunting follows Bram. He's a bratty 13-year-old boy who just so happens to raise the dead wherever he goes. And how the story started for me is, it wasn't a ghost story. It wasn't like a horror story. It was just me thinking about, the archetypical protagonist and, their relationship with, their powers and their responsibility in the world around them, and how, especially in comics, especially in superhero comics, but, comics in general, there's sort of an expectation that, your character will rise to the occasion. They'll become like a hero. They'll try to right their wrongs. So I thought, what if we're following a real bratty teenager who just says, no, I don't care. It's not my problem. I didn't ask for this. So, not a villain, but someone who just doesn't care and doesn't take responsibility for death and destruction that he's directly responsible for. And, eventually that evolved into the story that we got. And, I'm 3 issues into the main series, and now we have a crossover, and I'm just blown away by, how well it's been going, how people have been responding to it. It's just a ton of fun. It's got a little bit of everything I love. I love horror. I love comedy. There's definitely some comedy, especially in the protagonist. And I think there's a good amount of heart to it. I think Kat can vouch for it. I think we managed to inject all of that into this crossover too. And
I was just gonna say that. I think there's a lot of heart and there's a lot of comedy as well. But yeah, I think again, in some ways, I think both Like Father Like Daughter and Haunting had some similarities in tone, and that really helped.
Yeah, that sounds like a segue. So tell me what Like Father Like Daughter's about.
Okay, Like Father Like Daughter is about a high school girl. Father left her to become a full-time superhero. Everyone in the world loves him except for her, and then she inherits his abilities. And I guess tying into the crossover, this is at a point where she's kind of gotten used to her powers a little bit more. So a lot of that, like first volume of Like Father Like Daughter, is like, I hate dad, I hate my powers. So now you kind of see a little character growth. So that was a lot of fun. But at the same time, this book is really new reader friendly. We really tried our hardest to make it that you jump into the story without too much exposition, but you get to really know these characters. If you've never read either title, you only read one title, whatever, you could jump into this book.
Yeah, I noticed that from the preview that you guys had up on the Kickstarter page and stuff. She looked way more comfortable with her abilities than she did in her own series and whatnot. So I was actually, thank you for bringing that up. I was just curious about how much time has passed because she seemed really like, yeah, I know what I'm doing now. All right, like, because she snatched him up so quick, and I was like, but he's not doing it intentional.
Casey will never get that for sure. He will.
Yeah.
She has anger issues. Me and Phil have agreed to that one. But yeah, no, we didn't want to put specific times just in case, like people, I didn't want to be like, you have to read issue 5 to read this. But I would say at the point we are now in the book is pretty much when the story's taking place. It's definitely not post issue 8 because issue 8's the next issue and there's a lot that happens. So it's not after that. But it's right before, and it's maybe a little bit before their adventure they're taking with Casey's mom. So yeah, it's I would say she's met with her dad. She has met with her dad, and we're kind of in that spiel. So like I would say post issue 5 is where she's at.
5. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say post issue 4 or 5. That was always what I was headcanoning when we were writing and plotting together. But I think part of the fun is that it could take place in a lot of different time periods. I think that's what makes the most sense to us after like issue 4 or 5 for Like Father Like Daughter. And Haunting, we're a little bit in the future, actually. We're probably a little bit after issue 4. But I think part of the fun of it is just that it could be any time, and the characters, they're consistent in the way that they're portrayed. But you could jump in now, you could jump in after reading 1 issue, after reading 5 issues. We expect this story we return to.
All right, so talk to me about let's talk about their powers. What exactly can these characters do?
I'll let you go first, Phil.
Sure. So, like I said, Bram's ability is that he's a battery for the supernatural, effectively. Whenever he's around, ghosts can show up. Ghosts that, in the world of Haunting, ghosts are everywhere. If someone dies somewhere, then, their spirit resides there. But typically, they just aren't strong enough to interact with the world around them. When Bram's around, he pretty much gives them a major boost to their power and lets them show up. Another aspect that ties into both the crossover and Haunting is that he powers up necromancers, individuals who harness supernatural energy to raise the dead, to create zombies that do their bidding. So, Bram has an effect on natural beings like ghosts that exist on their own, and also powering up people who use the supernatural for their own ends. And that's actually a big aspect of the crossover, figuring out where these zombies are coming from and why they're attacking this school dance that the crossover takes place during.
Yeah.
And one more thing, sorry, before you jump in, Kat, one more thing is just that, like I said, Bram has no control over his abilities whatsoever. He can't turn it off. Wherever he goes, he's affecting the supernatural.
It's just happening.
Just happens.
And that becomes a really important part of the crossover as well. And for Casey, she got the generic superhero powers on purpose. That's definitely a big part of the story, is this, allegory about superheroes. But yeah, she has super strength, she has invulnerability and super speed. She sometimes gets visions. That's every once in a while in the book. We don't do too much, but it's kind of like Superman's laser eyes. You see it every once in a while, but he doesn't do it all the time.
Okay.
Gotta make it special.
Exactly.
Awesome. So we've got this collaboration between these two characters, and is this actually just a one shot? We get a beginning, middle, and end with this crossover.
It is a beginning, middle, and end, but there's definitely room for a sequel if people want a sequel. But if they never meet again, there's no cliffhanger in the story. It's definitely a beginning, middle, and end. But never say never.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's one of our favorite things about it. Just it reads really complete. The characters, they have the conflict that they're facing in this issue, and they come out on the other end. But there's plenty of room on the table for these characters to interact again. Bram and Casey, our two leads, we put them in a room together, and they share some
Literally.
words.
Yeah,
Literally, they share some words, and they both give their perspectives. They're very different perspectives on their powers, and I think both of them learn a little bit something about themselves and about each other. But there's definitely room to return to it, and we would never say never. Already we're seeing so much support for this that we would definitely consider coming back for another.
we just have to make projects. We need to find the time.
We have to schedule it.
All right. I just put their social media information in the chat. I know we got people watching us on Facebook. I know you got people watching us on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Please let those questions fire away. This is your time to learn about this project and learn about these characters and who these creators are. All right. So, how did you guys go about in your conversation of working on your worlds? Blending them. Because were your worlds separate before this, or did you guys have this powwow and then find a way to mix it, or is it just you guys just rolling with the punches?
They live very far from each other, so that helped a little.
Yeah, that was the first thing that Kat mentioned, actually. She said, they take place pretty far apart, like father, like daughter's in New York, and, Haunting, I left it ambiguous on purpose, but, I'm picturing kind of Midwest, so I think part of the fun of like a Scooby-Doo story or any Saturday morning cartoon, but especially Scooby-Doo, is that they just show up where they need to be. So, I think in one way we took an easy way out, but another way, I think it's just the fun way to approach it that, my characters were passing through town and, Bram wanted to crash a Halloween dance because of course he does. And, they go up and shenanigans ensue.
Hold up. I'm not about to let that get glossed over. What do you mean? Of course he does.
Well, Bram's, for lack of better words, a little shit. So, he sees a bunch of kids are having fun at a dance, and he's like, "Oh, I don't get to go to school. I don't get to have fun. Why don't I go?" And he's traveling with his friend Faith, another character from Haunting, the more level-headed, responsible friend of his. And of course, she's like, "No, we can't do that. What if someone died there? What if there's ghosts?" And he's like, "It's a dance. Who died there?" And then, if you could tell from the preview, plenty of people. So
there's a lot. It's the Hellmouth over there.
The Hellmouth, yeah.
Many people are dead over there. That's crazy. So, wow. So it kind of like sucks for your character.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some pathos there. I think we have a lot of fun exploring like just how inconsiderate and that's putting it mildly, he is for putting people in danger effectively just to live his life. But part of his conflict and part of what he voices to Casey in the crossover is that he doesn't have an off switch. Is he just going to lock himself in a room somewhere forever? And even if he does, people have died everywhere. He's at this point in his life, and he's only about 13 years old. He's desensitized to death and violence, and sometimes he just makes a lot of the time he makes the wrong call. He puts people in danger when he doesn't need to, and that's what this crossover is. And what makes this time different than any other is that he's coming across somebody else who has superpowers, somebody who is more responsible with their powers, who rises to the occasion, who doesn't put people in danger, who can call him out and understand him in a way that maybe nobody else can.
Yeah, because Casey's cursed by responsibility. Like it's like the complete opposite is that in a better world, she would ignore these powers, right? She'd be like, "Oh, I don't have to do anything with the same powers that my dad left me with." And then she's like, "No, I have this kind of internal Peter Parker guilt and responsibility that I have to do something with these powers, even though it may hurt me personally." So, yeah, that's definitely the big pinnacle of this whole entire book is their opposite views of responsibility as this big event is happening of zombies and ghosts coming to life and having to figure out how do we save all these kids.
So that's kind of cool. I believe the dynamic creative team that you are, that's intentional. And I don't know if anybody else has picked up on that, but the fact that your character doesn't want her powers because of where they came from. And like you just said, if the world was a better place, she wouldn't even be using them. And she comes face to face with the character who obviously dislikes her powers, does not care about how their powers affect anybody because of him wanting to live his life. So it's kind of just like they are in similar places for different reasons. And now Casey has to step up and be a hero.
100%. She is very much taking charge in this story. I think more than we ever have seen her, because in her actual series, she wants to take the back seat. She wants to, and the story drives her to not on purpose. Like, she doesn't, like, the thing that happens to her in the end of our last issue, I guess I could spoil it because it's out and it's been out, is that she gets kidnapped and comes face to face with her KGB officer mother. So it's not even like she gets there on purpose. You know, she's like, oh, I wonder where my dad is. And, you know, it's all just culminating that she ends up in this event. So she kind of has not pushed herself into a role yet. But here she takes charge. She is the leader, and she is ready to tell Bram that he's a shitty hero. And he's just like, I'm not a hero. Leader. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. No, she's a hot-headed leader.
I noticed that immediately in the preview. Like, she immediately took charge. Like, she was ready to shut him down instantly or tell him to cut the shit out. And then when, you know, it was explained to her more, she took the lead, grabbed him and said, all right, we're going to handle this. So where does that come from for her in this moment? I mean, I don't, you know, you obviously don't want to spoil what's going on in your book that you have not revealed personally, but, like, you know, she just met her mom. She's an assassin of some sort. And, you know, so how do we get from that to here?
This is a moment I've spoiled in other places, so I'll spoil it here. And this is about the crossover, not the bigger story of Like Father, Like Daughter. But there's a moment when Bram is talking about his responsibility and him saying, well, you know, I'm in a place where I can't control my powers. You're in a place that you get to go to school. You get to be a normal person. And Casey kind of rebuttals a little bit and says, like, you know, I didn't want this, right? Like, I didn't want this responsibility. And what the moment that's kind of revealed and that we've been kind of seeing in Like Father, Like Daughter a bit is that she finally understands why her dad left, because she has those powers. So now she's taking responsibility because she understands her father's role finally. And again, not that he did a good thing, but she was always like, I hate dad, I'll never forgive him. And now as they get to meet each other and he's in some ways becoming him, he's like, oh, that's why he did it. So yeah, I think that's why she's kind of feeling a little bit more comfortable in her role. And also because she's gotten to know her dad a little bit, you know, a missing piece of the puzzle. It definitely does not spoil where issue 8's going, but Casey's got a big hero journey to come, which is going to be fun. And I think this crossover does a really good job at being a prequel to a taste of where Casey's going to be as a hero.
Awesome. But you guys are going ahead to leave the doors open for a potential, you know, a link back up or whatnot on this stuff. And, you know, with you guys talking and, you know, brainstorming these ideas and bring them together, and you're working on another project together. Can you tell us about that project?
Yeah, you go, Phil. We have so many, so you start it out.
We can, let's start with Slice of Life since that's coming up first. So, like Kat said, we had so much fun working on the crossover. You know, we really breezed through it faster than we've ever really pulled anything else together. And then after, you know, the crossover was easy in one way because we were coming into it with pre-existing properties. And when we were writing together, we plotted the whole thing together. We met up in Kat's backyard and we broke the story. And then it was pretty easy to say, okay, you write these characters because they're your characters. You write these characters because they're your characters. And then in the scenes where they're interacting, where they split up, you know, we both contribute. One person might take a lead in a certain scene, but we both contribute. After we kind of learned each other's quirks and you know, writing habits from that, and we decided let's dive into something completely new. And I think Kat suggested it one day, and like a week later, I was like, Kat, I got an idea for you.
Not
So
even. It was like 3 days later. It
That
was
sounds
like
about right.
it was pretty quick.
Yeah, it was an idea I'd been kicking around a little bit myself, but I hadn't been able to flush it out entirely, so I took it to you and we really ran with it. So Slice of Life, which will be a webcomic, it'll premiere on Webtoon and Tappa with Tappas, with installments releasing every week. It's called Slice of Life, and it follows Lady Vengeance, the protagonist of a gritty anime, who spent her entire life trying to avenge the death of her boyfriend, and she's suddenly brought to life in the real world. She'll learn that there's more to life than darkness and revenge, and she'll find love with a high school cheerleader. So, Kat and I are both queer creators, and we both want to tell a queer story, something outside of what we typically tell, superheroes, horror. And, we landed on this where, it's a slice of life that's in the name, but it's a romance, it's action, it's kind of a mix of everything that we love. And, we get to tell, and it's a queer story, which both of us had wanted to tell more of. Another project that I'm sure Kat will talk about is By Visibility. But yeah, like Slice of Life, as soon as we came up with the plot, we just kept pushing each other to plot out the story, and it transformed like so much over the course of about a week. And I think we're premiering in about a month on July 12th.
Literally like a month, yeah.
Yeah, and we first came up with the idea not too long ago. I want to say probably in like March or April. So it's actually insane how quickly it's managed to pull together.
We've gotten so many pencils. We've gotten so much artwork for it too, which is crazy.
Yeah, our artist on the project, shout out. She's fantastic, Valeria Perry. She's very excited about the project, and she's moving really quickly to show how excited she is. So it's because of her that we can release so soon.
Yeah, we didn't expect that at all, and yeah, no, it's something we're super proud of. Just because it's gonna be cool for us to like mix traditional comics with webtoons, because another aspect is that we're launching on Webtoon, but we're actually doing a Kickstarter to make it a physical comic. So you're pretty much getting to read a comic before it's released. This could have easily been a regular traditional comic, but it's going to be a 40-something page book like we have for the crossover. So it's a bit of more of a premiere book. And then, we're going to release on Kickstarter with an exclusive story. So if you read the webtoon, you have a chance to get something exclusive. So we're going to do like a 4-page story. I don't want to spoil what's going to happen because it's kind of long from now, but it's something I think people are going to really want to read if you enjoy the webtoon. It's going to be somewhat of an important story. It's not a plot-specific one, but like if you like these characters, you're going to want to read that story. So Halloween-related, so that's kind of fun. Yeah, no, we're super proud of it. It's just kind of crazy how things have grown and releasing it on Webtoon. And then, By Visibility, that's coming out August 30th. That's going to be on Kickstarter. It's 9 stories from different writers and artists, and all about bisexuality. And I have a story in it. Phil is helping me edit, and then I see Julius in the comments. He has a story in it as well. And we're super proud of it. We're super proud of that book as well. And again, this all has happened in less than a year. We've gotten all this stuff out. And By Visibility is way more than halfway done. Is so close to finishing, which is so wild to see. And just how quickly all these projects have come about. And how me and Phil just kind of push each other in the best ways possible.
Yeah, just to add one thing about By Visibility, like there's something for everyone in there. Bisexuality is the through line, but you have stories in there. You have romance, you have high fantasy, you have action, spy, like espionage stories. Like it's insane just how much variety was submitted to this anthology from all of these creators. I think it's something that everybody's really gonna like.
Yeah, 100% agree. And we already got covers for it. Again, it's almost done. It's so wild to think that. And I came up with that idea this year, and it's just
she kicked it around. She was like, "Oh, what do you think of this anthology?" I was like, "Yeah, why aren't you doing it?" She's like, "I don't know, maybe." And then like a day later, she's like, "I'm definitely doing this."
And yeah, it's kind of skyrocketed since, and just seeing promotion for it doing so well. I'm so excited to release that Kickstarter, and that goes into Slice of Life as well. Having more queer stories. And one thing about Slice of Life, I think we really learned is like we thought it was gonna be a fun comedy, and then it ended up being this like kind of dramatic story that is really character driven, and we're super excited for how deep every single character is. And yeah, we're stoked for that.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like Slice of Life has a little bit of everything that we love. There's a lot of comedy, especially in that first chapter, but things get serious, things get emotional. There's heart, there's action. We have anime protagonist brought to life, so there's some sword play. It's just we're really excited to share it.
That's awesome. That all sounds really, really good, and I love that it's coming together so quickly, so you guys can just get this content out there. It's like you don't want to miss a beat when you're producing, and if these ideas are hitting the top of the head like that, you want to get them out there as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and one big important part of that was that I think it would have been easy, just like, oh, we have a name, we're gonna do a Kickstarter, and just like it'll take years to finish. Like, no, we're not doing that. And I think especially me and Phil, we really like having a book almost complete or complete before we do a Kickstarter, because I know it sounds like, oh man, they're doing a lot of Kickstarters. All these books are pretty much done, which is, again, so wild to see. Like, and I think that's a big important element too, is that to know your audience and to know when you can launch and how to build up their momentum. And it took, me years to get to this point, and Phil about a year to get to this point. So it's just like, it took a while to be able to have this momentum as well.
Yeah, I think, it's hard to believe it's only been a year. It feels like we've crammed so much into it.
So crazy.
But yeah, going on to your point about, the Kickstarter approach, going with a finished book or an almost finished book. I think what's so interesting about Slice of Life is that by the time the Kickstarter releases, you can read the entire comic on Webtoon and Topless for free. So, if you come to that Kickstarter page, it's because A, you want that bonus story, which we're pretty excited about. B, you want a print version, or even just a digital version in sequential, since it'll be, the Webtoon Topless scroll format. If you want to see a story you love told in a slightly different way, in a different media, and, to get the print version, we got, we, like Kat said, we plan to collect the issues in like 40-page increments, and, we're only going to do, at a certain point, we'll collect in a trade. So we hoping that this will become kind of a like somewhat exclusive item for fans, while the issues are available.
Awesome. So how do we even go about this plan? How do we, with the success that you're having on Kickstarter and the momentum that you're building on Kickstarter, what's the conversation like for both of you to say, let's slow it down? I know the book's done, Phil. I know. We're going to do it on Webtoons. But Kat, you're killing it on Kickstarter. We're at 10,000. We just need to go right to it. Phil, Webtoon it week to week. Wait for it. Then Kickstart it.
Yeah. Oh, man, there's a big story behind that, because I think for me and Phil, before, again, we started teaming up, we really wanted to do something on Webtoon, just because, if you guys don't know, Webtoon has more readers than comic books right now. They have millions of readers on there, and a lot of younger readers, and people we want to get into comics. So we thought, oh, we can use Haunting and like Twilight Daughter, and we'll just do like reprinted stuff over there. And it's like, no, let's make something original. Let's make something catered to Webtoon, but also could be catered to traditional comics. So we're trying to do something really new that I don't think a lot of comic publishers have done yet, and that is to do this Webtoon format, but also keep in mind that this is a comic book as well. So to kind of marry two mediums, and we're kind of being selfish about it. Like, we also want to build a fan base for that franchise in particular. So it's the add to our momentum even more on Kickstarter.
Yeah, building on what Kat was saying about the difference between Webtoon and traditional comics, and I think, in addition to just being like a different audience base, different readership, and surprisingly that more people, more eyes are on Webtoon than traditional comics. I think one thing we wanted to experiment with from a writing perspective is that, Webtoon's a little slower, a little more slowed down and character driven, versus, traditional comic is very plot heavy. Characters are super important, of course, but like you make a pitch for a book based on what the plot is, but
and what's the
I don't want to generalize.
What's the movement
What's the
of a book?
Yeah, it's very driven by like what's in the next issue. And not to generalize, there's plenty of Webtoon that are very plot heavy, that rely on cliffhangers, and cliffhangers are great. But there are a lot of Webtoon, a lot of slice of life Webtoons, or even romance, or even some drama Webtoons that spend more time just say like let's settle into these characters' lives. Let's see what makes them tick and who they are. That's kind of the perspective we wanted to take. We want to marry traditional comics with webtoon. We want to tell a story that's super character driven, but that has like a plot, has a log line that anyone could jump on board with. And we think slice of life is kind of the perfect fit there. So we're really excited to approach it both on webtoon and then in the traditional format.
And the plot is the character. So that's why it's called slice of life. Originally it was going to be a little bit more slice of life where it's just like everything's just about their day-to-day lives. But then we realized, oh, there's a story here, there's a story here, and the character drives the plot, kind of like Daughter and Haunting does. But yeah, it's totally, by the end of that issue that you're getting on Kickstarter, those characters are going to change a lot, and you're going to know a lot about those characters. And we also have a lot of cliffhangers in store as well, so it's hard to say that it's purely webtoon, because it really isn't. There's a lot of I don't want to say secrets. There's not, but there's a lot to uncover about these
there's
characters.
reveals, there's big character beats, things that you might not expect from like just the log line or the teaser. We have a teaser up on Webtoon and Tapas right now, or the first chapter when it premieres. I think, like Kat said, it's really transformed in the little time that it's existed, and it's gonna. I think we can expect it to keep transforming, because every week there's a new idea and like a new way that we can kind of completely change the story and the characters. So I think
we hope it goes on for a long time.
Yeah, we have plans to make it go on for quite a while, but if people respond to it as much as we think they will, then we could do this for a while.
Okay, so this is definitely a partnership that is being forged in steel right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's so funny because we started out as just friends and then became business partners. So now, like weekends where we just hang out, we have about 5 or 6 hours of just agenda stuff and like calling each other every day about comic stuff.
Yeah, it's become a weekly tradition where my partner who lives with me goes to work at like 8 a.m. and then Kat and I meet up as soon as she wakes up, and we try to get as many business items out of the way as possible until my partner returns, and then we have friend hangout time. But a lot of the time work bleeds into that, especially right now when there's so much to balance with Kickstarter and our upcoming projects. So
and also just we have Comic-Cons coming up and it's summer, so not every weekend is free. So there's also just such limited, it's like we're so far ahead, but also we realize, oh, time goes quick.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, I'm having a lot of fun drawing these characters.
I'm loving what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I had to make some. I've drawn Kat's character like 4 times now, so I'm pretty comfortable drawing her.
Casey expert.
Not an expert. I'd say I know Casey. We've been out for milkshakes a couple times.
Acquaintances.
I hope you're enjoying your first date with Bram. I'm sure he's not a pleasant date.
Dude, I'm digging. This is like a first date, and we're hitting it off right now. Like I've had to as
so
you
he hasn't spoken yet, is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. I've had to kind of like re-go over what I was doing. I'm trying to get the flow of the movement for him or whatnot. But like I'm digging it. I'm looking at your pages online here. The artists you guys have on this book is really, really dope. But I'm having a lot of fun. Like I feel like I'm starting to find the character now. And sometimes when I'm drawing stuff, I've got to draw it 4 or 5 times before I can really get a feel for it. But I'm definitely digging where this is coming from. And I know J-Man in the building. What's up? Thank you, Julius. I appreciate that. I know you got some of you probably like, well, what's going on here? You're talking about their 2 characters. Who's this 3rd character right here that's just floating behind these guys? This is Hot Shot. So, guys, you've been keeping up. We're doing this print together. It's a crossover print that we're doing. If you pledge to their Kickstarter and my Kickstarter, you're going to get this print included into your rewards, which is why I really want to make sure it looks good, because it's going to a whole new audience. Your audience isn't my audience, and vice versa. My audience isn't your audience, and we're introducing these characters to both of them. So, yes, go ahead and if you have not pledged or backed these Kickstarters, go ahead and do that. Have a good time. Don't close this window, though. Keep this window up. Open up another one, and then go over there and pledge to it, back it, Or if you've already done that, give us a share. Give us a share, because sharing is just, once you've backed it, sharing is just as important, because you're introducing us to more people. And the more people that see our books, the more chances we have of these people falling in love with our books. Because we have fallen hard for our comic books. And we want you to do that as well. Both links have just been sent to the chat. And again, if you guys have any questions, we're streaming live on Facebook, on Twitch, on Twitter, and YouTube. Please ask those questions. What's up? Hold up. What's this? Everyone's got to go on a date with the broody guy. That sees Ghost at some point, right?
Of course.
I can definitely vouch for that.
Awesome. Well, let me close this back up. But yeah, this stuff is super fun to me, man. I'd like to think, or like to say rather, I bring people on the show so I can find out about their comic books and then I'll buy them. But I've already pledged to your Kickstarter. So I still get to, find out about these characters. And I was curious because he was acting like a jerk in y'all's preview. Like, I'm all like trying to stand up for him, like, dude, he's not doing this on purpose. Why are you being so mean, Casey? But then I'm like, oh, you are acting like a jerk, though. At the same time, these are still ghosts and zombies, buddy.
Yeah,
And it's just a teaser of it. He acts more of a jerk. And there, I will say, the conclusion of the book wraps up everything very nicely to his jerky hood.
Yeah.
Jerky hood.
His jerky hood. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's definitely a moment of pathos or two in there. He's in a somewhat sympathetic. I shouldn't even say somewhat. He's in a sympathetic position. He's got to deal with a lot he didn't ask for, but he just makes himself so unlikable that it's kind of hard to feel bad for him. But,
yeah, he needs to get some better personality. Maybe even surround himself with these friends. He's got some friends now, so maybe he'll be a little less broody.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see in Haunting.
We will see. All right, so Kat's already gotten this question, Phil, so you have to get it now. Everyone who comes on the show has to get these two personal questions about their character. What is his favorite food, and what is or would be his favorite movie? Okay.
Let's start with favorite food. I feel like Bram has some expensive tastes. I think he's the type who, on a particularly bad day, he'll walk into like a gourmet restaurant and he'll just let the place clear out. He'll let the ghost show up and scare the people away, and he'll just chow down on some caviar, other expensive foods. I'm not bougie, so I can't even think of the expensive foods that he would want. But
a nice steak.
Nice steak, the nicest steak. Maybe he'll just go around to all the tables and see what people order, just sample. That sounds like it would make for a pretty fun. A pretty fun backup, actually. I should pencil that down. And then favorite movie. Let me think about that for a second. I definitely think Bram's a comedy guy, and I don't think he likes
Casper.
He likes Casper.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The Friendly Ghost. Wendy and Casper. You don't think he'd like that one?
So he's like about 13. 13-year-olds have kind of like gross out taste. I feel like he's a Hangover guy. I don't really like The Hangover, but I think Bram would go for it.
You think he would like The Hangover?
I think
a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah, I think he wants to have a laugh. I don't think he wants to think too much, and I don't think he'd get so into it that he'd like talk about it all the time. But he'd have a good time. He'd pop into the theater, let it clear out, and then just watch.
Okay, all right, cool. I like that. I like how you said I'm not into it, but I think he would like it. And looking at it from a 13-year-old viewpoint, because I always do wonder. So like they started making those type of movies where it stars kids, and they're saying all this reckless shit about sex and drinking and stuff at 13 and 14 years old, and it's like The Hangover, but for kids. And I'm really looking and thinking, who is this movie marketed to? Because
honestly,
is it for kids? Because now you want my kid to act like this, or is it to adults? And why do I, as an adult, want to watch this movie about these kids doing all this reckless shit? Like, so who is it marketed to?
I don't know if these movies make money, so I think that's the answer. Is it's marketed to nobody.
I'm betting it's more for those adults, those adults like me who want to relive their childhood, where they're not constantly on call with Kat and constantly back-to-back Kickstarters and
Look,
projects.
if the little Phil would be jealous of
He would
phone
be,
calls
actually.
with me.
When I was in 4th grade, I said I want to be a comic book artist, and my childhood bully said that I wasn't good enough, and I was like, "You're right."
So dream crushed.
Wherever you are now, Mike, suck it.
Yeah, that's right.
Call him out.
Yeah, don't let that bully hold you back.
He did.
So actually, that's a great segue. Thank you so much, Phil. What's your origin story? How do you get into comics? How do you get into this creative thing? You know, I guess you just told a part of it. The guy said you weren't good enough for it. So how do we get from there to where you are right now as a creator now, fully out here?
Well, he's not an artist, so the bully
not an artist. So the bully was right about that, but yeah. So I've always been into. So I grew up on Batman the Animated Series, like many 90s kids. So like I was always really into Batman, and then from there I would get into Superman. I would watch Spider-Man. I would watch X-Men. So that was my gateway into comic characters. And then when I was in like early high school, I started picking up weekly comics. Going from Marvel and DC, and just over the years, could pick up more books, become like more acquainted with comics as a genre, and also just like the culture of comics, of comic book stores. And like I said, I knew Kat from her YouTube channel. I'd seen her reviews because she does great reviews, and you always after I read a comic.
Cat's
I am everywhere. That's the actual reason. They're not because
she is
they're
everywhere.
great. It's just because I'm everywhere.
Yeah. And I had no idea she lived near me either. I just like happened to see her because when you read a good comic, you're just like, I want to see what someone else has to say about that. And then we were introduced by a mutual friend, a friend of mine who I went to middle school and high school with, and Kat was going to college with, and I saw her, and we'd meet up on occasion. We'd like go to movies. I was aware of her comic. I checked out like Father Like Daughter. I liked it a lot. And then I was already a writer. I'd taken several writing classes at my college, and I was writing prose. And Haunting actually started out as a prose story. I didn't get very far into it, but all of the original plotting I did for it, that process where I said, hey, this is the story I want to tell, this is the character I want to tell, and then transforming it into like a ghost story. That happened at the prose phase, and it wasn't really working. I think in part because I was imagining a very visual story. I wanted to see Bram's smug little face. I want to see all those ghosts and zombies all over. And Julius in the chat just shouted out Mimi as the friend who introduced us. So anyway, I saw Kat was doing her thing and successfully self-publishing, and at a certain point it kind of clicked for me. I was like, oh, I should give this a shot, and I did, and I found my artist. We connected online, and my entire team connected online. From there, it's just the more acquainted you get with the community. I already talked about comic books as a medium, and local comic book stores, that culture, and comic book fans, but also Kickstarter. Crowdfunding through Kickstarter, crowdfunding comics through Kickstarter. It's its own community, it's its own ecosystem, and the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the more capacity you have to create. So, like I said, I crowdfunded my first Kickstarter. I think it was like sometime between March and May. I want to say, it was March of last year. And, now here we are 15 months later, and I'm 3 issues into Haunting. I have 1 crossover funding right now. We have so many projects on the horizon. So just, don't hold yourself back. If you're into something, there's no reason you can't do it.
100% agree. Or become friends with me.
Or become friends with that. She's got some helpful tips for getting started and keeping going.
Awesome.
At the end, though, I don't know if I have helpful tips then.
I'll let you know when we get to the end of our friendship. Yeah, that's looking
awesome.
great.
That's really good to hear. Thank you. Stories like that are always great to hear, man. Hearing people's personal journeys and how they get from 0 to 60. It's always good because I think a lot of people look at, they'll look at your Kickstarter and look at how professional the damn book looks. Look at the presentation of it, and you're over $10,000, almost 400 people backing it. And it's like, damn, how did they do that? Like somebody new to the game trying to break in sees that, and that looks like an impossible thing to them. But then you tell them, like, no, dude, I was just there like a little over a year ago, and I just busted my ass and worked. But actually hearing how that happens, it helps. It helps a lot of people become or want to take that step to be a creative.
Yeah, and not to take power from Kat, she was super helpful. But like, if you don't have a Kat, the entire community, not just the Kickstarter comics community, but comic creators in general, it's a very inclusive community. I think people want to boost each other up and help each other out. The more people who are into comics, the better. So like, the place to start is getting into indie comics. Getting to know that community, that ecosystem, the way the stories are told, the types of stories that are being told, and asking questions, taking interest, and eventually, if you take part in a community long enough, if you participate in a community long enough, you become a part of it, and it boosts up your own presence in it and your own created creations.
Yeah, I think the big highlight there is ask questions. I think that's the biggest thing, and what impressed me the most from you coming to me, I remember just like, I had a lot of people in the past ask me, like, how do you make comics, and always just kind of stop because they didn't really want to make comics. They just wanted to make money, or they want to make an IP for a movie or whatever, and they kind of lost interest. But for you wanted to make comics, and you had the right questions. You came with your own research too. It wasn't like, I think a lot of times people also want other people to do the work for them. So I think you never wanted that. You wanted to do your own work, but you asked the right questions, and you obviously grew from that, and where you are now, and again, it's only been a year. You asked the right questions and you had a passion for it.
Yeah, like I said, when we like Kat said, we were friends for like 5 years before we even talked about comics outside of just like casually. Kat would mention like, oh, that's what I do, for a living. But that once the switch flips, once you realize like I can do this, and you start putting yourself into it, you do the research, what questions you need, you find the right person to ask, and you get some tips, and you pick things up on your own. I like to think I've taught Kat a thing or two in the last year.
I make jokes that that they're like, no, you'll never pass the teacher, but no, I think that's what's been great too, is that we don't see it like as a teacher student dynamic by any means. We're two partners that want to make comics, and you 100% have taught me stuff throughout the years that have made this campaign the biggest for both of us for a reason. It's because we learn from each other.
That's excellent. Love it. Love hearing that so much. I've noticed that about the indie community. This year, during this pandemic, this last year and a half of things, a lot of people have come together and united. There haven't been, all these, squabbles or beef moments online. It's just been people creating content, networking, sharing each other's stuff, talking to each other, communicating. And, once the world opens back up, I hope it doesn't stop.
Yeah, no, I agree. I we were talking about this a little show, comic conventions. They'll be coming back, and I'm really excited to see, what that brings us.
Yeah, where I actually, I've been to cons as a fan, obviously, for several times, but right when my first issue started crowdfunding was last March, when COVID hit and conventions shut down. So I remember sitting at a table with Kat. We were planning out our summer conventions, and then we watched one by one as they were taken off the board. So this con season will be the first time I'll get to go as a creator and table and sell my own books and showcase my own properties. So really looking forward to it.
I'm excited to learn new things from Phil too, because like as we were just saying about learning more just about Kickstarter, I think I'll learn more even about conventions.
I'll teach you a few things about life. Don't worry.
About life.
Feels like welcome to my world. It's my turn.
Kat's told me some fun con stories and some con horror stories. So I'm really looking forward to having my own.
Yeah, there's pro cons and then cons.
Con.
All right, looks like we got a couple questions here. What's your number one book of the week, Kat?
Oh man, for me this week it was The Joker came out, and that was really good this week. I've been really enjoying that series.
All right, and what comic are you looking forward to the most?
Oh man, is that like not my comic? Or just like out of our comics? Let's turn that question to our comics, all right? Let's turn it around.
Being narcissists.
I'm gonna be a narcissist for a second. I promote comics all day long. I could be a narcissist for a second. Oh man, I'm honestly, I think most excited for Slice of Life.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
My,
that was the question Julius was asking.
I think so too. I think I gotta go Slice of Life too. I think I'm excited about all of our projects, but Slice of Life is also the most new. So, and it's the one that we're still, we've developed it, but we're still developing a lot of like the future of the story. So it's
And
very
most
fresh.
ongoing too. Yeah, it's like, By Visibility is an anthology. It'll be done. And then this is a crossover. It'll be done. It's already been done for a while. Or at least the story has been. And then what else we have coming up? The Dancer has been done for a very long time. So
By Visibility, it's also almost done. Like you said, you'll probably have a finished book before you launch the Kickstarter.
yeah, it's looking that way. So as much as I'm very excited for people to see that, yeah, it's I think Slice of Life, it's really excited for people to see the characters too. There's a lot of room for that character building.
Mm-hmm. That's dope. I'm gonna also answer that question because I'm pretty excited about what we're coming out with. Although it's been a while since we've had Hot Shot come out with a new issue that is happening, but I'm probably more excited about Emerald Quest dropping because that's been a book we've been talking about for a while, and we have 3 issues of that done. It just needs to be lettered right now, which is happening or whatnot. Colors are all completely finished on all 3 issues, and that's our fantasy title. It's about a young girl who is 15 years old, and she is the youngest general in her queen's army. She is a military savant. She knows strategy, fighting techniques. She can master any weapon or anything like that, and no one has any idea where she comes from. But that's what the story is going to be about, digging into her past, who she is, and where she's going to be going. And I just can't wait to drop that. I can't wait till we launch that on our Kickstarter. We've got a couple surprises that we've added on to it. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Awesome.
And that book hasn't been on Kickstarter, right? Because you've had Vigilance, you've had Hot Shot, but have you had Emerald Quest on Kickstarter before?
Nope. This will be the first time that it's going to be on Kickstarter.
That's awesome.
Mike, you got to tell us. You got to tell us her favorite food and her favorite movie now.
Yeah, tell us.
Well, they don't have movies where they're from, so in this world, there are no movies. Look at this guy turning the tables on me on my own show.
If you can't answer, you got to do 1,000 push-ups.
Dang. We have not delved into what her favorite food is, but I can tell you her favorite thing to do is to ride her horse. The horse she has. She's not broody, but she's very blunt, but she keeps very much to herself. And the one time that you see any intimacy or softness from her is when she's with her horse. It's the one thing that has not betrayed her or hurt her in any way, before she came to this kingdom and, became a general or whatnot. So she's very, very happy with the horse that she has or whatnot. She's not very particular about food, whatever. She'll just eat whatever she needs to eat to, stay alive and have energy and stuff. But she's more concerned with combat, staying in shape, being able to continue her battles and things like that. So it's going to be a fun series. It's a strong. We have a lot of female characters in this book that take the lead in this one in specific. So, damn you, Phil. Good turnaround.
I live for the turnarounds. But yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, but very excited. Can't wait to get it out there on Kickstarter for everybody because we have been talking about it for a minute, and to be at the point like if to toot another horn just like they are, to be at the point to where we can just really move forward and drop these books and these books be at a finished stage. You guys don't know how good that feels. Like to go into a Kickstarter is like it's just the letters. That could be done in a week or two. You know what I'm saying? Like we're ready to roll on this book. It's a very, very good feeling.
It's the best feeling. I would get too much anxiety if I didn't have the book finished enough. I'd be like, wait, I need to finish this book.
Yeah, I would say actually the crossover, the project we have live right now, is the least finished book that I've launched, and even that is almost finished. And
Yeah,
like when
all
we launched,
the pencils and all that's been done.
yeah,
It's just
when we
like
launched, we
some
were very
color.
close to finishing with pencils. Right now, we're like literally have like one page left with pencils, and the colors are in progress. I think we're about halfway done, so the book will be finished very soon. But if that's the least finished that I've done, you can imagine how finished everything else that we've worked on has been. It's just I get anxiety, and I know Kat does too. When
Yeah, we both share each other's anxiety, and it pushes us to do things.
Yeah, that's where we're at with Hot Shot 10. Colors are happening right now on Hot Shot 10, and we, our goal being $6,000. So grateful that we hit that. But we're like, man, we have not dropped a new Hot Shot book in 3 years. We know we're collecting a trade. We're making all the FSK books available on this Kickstarter. But what if we hit 10,000? If we hit $10,000, we should just go ahead and give them issue 10 for free. That's
that's
great
awesome.
yeah,
So you're just going to add into the Kickstarter. That's cool.
Yeah. If we hit the 10K, because I'm like, I think that's a worthy, because I've never hit 10,000 on the Kickstarter before. So, I mean, I feel like we should do something special for it. So if we do hit that, everyone's going to get that issue. And, that's where we're at right now. Colors are happening on it right now and letters at the same time. So, but I definitely feel that before I even want to announce or really, really brag about a project, the pencil's got to be done.
For sure.
yeah, you gotta show something.
Yeah, and this thing, man, I'm having so much fun with this.
It's looking great.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, I see one of the questions, Kat, for you. If there are any more dancer books in the work, that sounds.
Yeah. So the dancer's been done for a while, so it's really just because of all these other projects I haven't been able to release the next issue. Literally, the only thing that has to be done for the dancer is that we're reworking some of the lettering. So it's just like to make it more defined, and it's all been colored too. So every issue has been colored. We're not even waiting on that. Colors are done until the end of the miniseries, and I just got variant covers for issue 2. So literally today it finished. If I wanted to launch the dancer tomorrow, I could. But and I should, right? But because we have By Visibility and Slice of Life, we're actually this weekend going to be discussing schedule for the dancer issue 2. So that's the only reason why it's taking a little bit of time, is because we have these other projects that need to be launched first. But yeah, it's all pretty much done. I might dig into some issue 3 variants so we could be done with that and really just keep launching as quickly as possible. It's a 4-issue miniseries, so you will be getting them very soon. And again, it's all done. So.
And if you'd asked us a year ago if we'd have so many projects in the works that we need to schedule them, that it was like looking tight to schedule those Kickstarters, I would not have believed you.
I would have laughed.
I would have laughed. And those variant covers, they look great. I can't wait for Kat to share them with everyone. They look really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, the 2 of them came in today. So I had one done for like a week or 2, and I've only I asked these variant cover artists 2 weeks ago. They're done.
Yeah, you got 2 quick ones. I heard you got a really good referral for them.
Yes, I did for 2 of them. You got a nice referral.
So that's cool. Are you guys surprised by how hungry it seems the indie community is for variant covers? Because all I saw on the timeline and stuff with comic books, that everybody hated variant covers. They were tired of Marvel and DC doing it. And then this year, I've just seen indie creatives sell the hell out of variant covers for their books.
Yeah, I think definitely. Obviously, there's a lot of politics, a lot of complexity and history when it comes to comics and variant covers. When it comes to big publishers. But I definitely think the perspective is different at least at the Kickstarter indie level, but also, probably indie comics, creator-owned comics all around. I think I personally, when I was just a comic reader, it was never something that particularly excited me. If I saw a cool variant, I might pick it up. But as a creator, I think I kind of get that secondhand excitement, seeing a different art style, maybe a flashier artist, or a completely different from what you would expect to see on the cover. That's what I'm most excited about when you get a comedic cover on a horror book. or like a completely different style. Like Kat and I are both fans of stained glass covers. I had 2 of them for Haunting, and
Hint,
I
hint.
think hint, hint,
Hint for Dancer issue 2.
hint for Dancer. But yeah, it's like getting like a very different style, whether that's genre or like me like a type of art that you're presenting, and like style for the characters, like something I find very exciting.
Yeah, and I think let's go business Cat for a second, business Phil for a second. It just it's hard to come up with tiers. It really is. What's valuable to a customer, and I think that's something me and Phil have been fooling around with as well. Like with this campaign, we have trading cards, and they're doing really well, and we're really happy with them. And we have holos, so we have like foil trading cards as well, which is super cool. We've done foil
Like
covers
everything. Like
Mhm.
this entire crossover, the trading card started as a joke where, we were looking over our reward
We
surveys.
weren't drunk this time though. We were
weren't
sober.
drunk.
Yeah.
We were having a business meeting,
Yeah.
but we were looking over reward surveys from our previous campaigns, and we both put a question like, "What do you want to see?" And we had a few people who had trading cards, and we were like just joking around like, "Oh, what would a trading card look like?" I was like, Bram would have a charisma level of 1. Casey would have maxed out strength and constitution, but maybe her wisdom's a little low, and then the more we talked about it, the more fun it seemed. At this point, we're already well into the crossover art. So we started looking, okay, what would make like a cool trading card art? And, it just kind of came together. And thankfully, like it's been getting like pretty good response. Like Kat said, we actually just yesterday, yeah, announced our first stretch goal now that we've hit our funding. When we hit 11K in funding, which I think we will since we got 2 weeks to go, everybody who backs at a physical tier level is going to get 1 trading card for free.
Okay.
And, if you're lucky, you'll pull one of those rare holos Kat was talking about. It's a ratio of 1 to 6 in rarity, but
We're getting packs too for the 5, so that was
Yeah.
like kind of a conversation. We're actually getting them in packs, which is really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I love it. I love the creativity and the things that are coming out of these Kickstarters. Absolutely. I think this is great. I love where the community is hitting. I think, while, COVID has sucked for a lot of people, it has definitely been a winning year for indie creative art creatives. Said that twice, my fault.
I also saw a question from Julius, which I think is a lot of fun, and we did this on a Q&A. Maybe we'll do this again. Julius says, what do you like and dislike the most about the main crossover characters? So maybe we'll reverse it. So my character is Phil, will say, and then I'll say Phil's characters.
Okay. What do I like and dislike most about Casey?
Yes.
The truth is about to come out.
No, I think
It's
what I
about
like about we keep joking about Casey being like a hothead and being a little angry, and that's not, I wouldn't call that like her defining characteristic, but it's become like a part of her. Like she's a little rash and impulsive, and I do think that's actually one of the things I like about her. I like writing a more hot-headed character. I think it helps to push the plot forward if your character maybe doesn't think through things entirely. It creates more interesting situations, both as a reader and as a writer. So, that's one of the things I really liked about her when writing the crossover. Like you can even see in the preview the way that as soon as she hears what Bram's deal is, like she immediately rushes to anger. She lifts him up by the collar and starts like shaking him down for information. It's a fun visual, and it was like a fun scene to write. So that will be my favorite thing about Casey. You want to do your favorite thing about Bram, and then I'll do my least favorite thing about
Sure.
Casey?
My favorite thing about Bram is, I would say that his like little teddy bearness of Bram, like the surprise teddy bearness for the character, is like when you get to see those moments where he's not being a jerk. And I'll go to my dislikes for Bram, is when he's being a jerk. Especially to Faith. To Faith. Like to other characters, fine. But when you're being a jerk to my girl Faith, she didn't deserve that.
Okay. Yeah, he could be a bit of a jerk to our girl Faith. My least favorite thing about Casey, I would say, in the same way that she's brash, like when she gets new information, and it's confronted with a new situation, like she'll be very hot-headed. But when she has like an issue, she very much keeps it to herself. Like when she's going through something or dealing with something, and it's not fresh, it's not something she can have a visceral reaction to, she'll kind of bottle it up rather than talk to like the great support system she has between her friends and eventually, and like father, like daughter, her father, like she has all these great people that she can confide in. But, I think part of the reason she doesn't is, she has to be strong. She feels she has to be strong. She's the daughter of the world's greatest superhero and only superhero. And, she's had to deal with a lot over the course of like father, like daughter. So, I think it's interesting that my favorite and least favorite thing are kind of conflicting, but I think they both fit for Casey.
She needs to communicate better for sure.
I was gonna ask that if her brashness comes off subconsciously because she knows who her dad is, and she's like, at the end of the day, she doesn't want the powers, but she's like, my fucking dad's a G. I got this. I don't want this responsibility, but if someone's got to carry the crown, I can. So is it a bit of that?
I think it's a little dash of that. I think it's also just how much she's gone through. She's had a really harsh childhood. So I think it just comes from her having to protect herself, like she's been hurt, really hurt from the person that should love her the most and, left her. So I think it's subconscious in a way, but yeah, I think also a little dash of like, I got these superpowers. I want to be strong. I want to show my strength. And, in her mind, showing emotions could be weak, even though we know that's not true. And I, totally agree with Phil. Like, Stephanie is probably the best friend you can ever have in your life. And she doesn't even confide to her in the future. I'll say that's definitely you're seeing it now, but there is going to be parts where secrets are being held. Oh, and I guess more likes and dislikes. So you want to do Stephanie since we're talking about her?
Okay. Let me think. I was only thinking Casey. Stephanie, I'm gonna borrow an answer I said on a podcast earlier this week. I think she's very, very much a woman with a plan. I think Stephanie goes into a situation and like she's the rational one to Casey's rashness and Wes's let's say exuberance, depending on the situation. I think he always has like a strong reaction, whether in the crossover it's fear because he's not a fan of ghosts and zombies, or in a more superhero situation, he's kind of the fanboy, he geeks out. But Steph, I think she's always the level-headed one. And, I half joked, half was serious when we talked about this last. But, I think in a typical story, Steph would make more sense as the superhero. She's the one who reacts calmly and rationally. She's the one who can take on a leadership role all the time. I think you see it in the preview a little bit. We talked about Casey taking on like the leadership role, like giving out the orders, but at some point Steph has to talk her down and be like, okay, chill. We're in this situation. Getting pissed off about it isn't going to help. This is what we need to do. And Casey's like, yeah, you're right. So I'd say that's my favorite thing about her, and also my favorite thing to have written about her, as communally both of us have written about her.
I think that's what's fun about Stephanie is that she's always the supporting character when she doesn't have to be, because in her relationship with Casey, she is in some regards, at least with the superhero stuff. And then even when she joins the band, you think as like one of the main characters of the book, she's not even the lead vocals, she's like in the back playing her guitar. So like she's comfortable not being in the spotlight, even though she very much could be and very much has a chance to be. She's like, no, let someone else do that, like I don't need that. So I think that's a lot of fun. So I'm gonna go likes for Faith, and then we'll switch, and then we'll do Wes. What I like about Faith is I said that in the Q&A. I like the idea that she stands up for herself. I think in some regards you'd think because she's a little bit more shy appearing, she would keep her feelings towards herself, but she never does. She's always very upfront about the things around her, and I really like that about her.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's pretty much my answer too. I think Faith comes across very much as kind of the Steph to Bram's Casey, where she's more level-headed, she's more rational and responsible. But I think a key difference, and not that Steph wouldn't stand up for herself, of course, but Faith does get flustered. That she might say the wrong thing, or might let the absurdity of her situation get to her more than Steph would, and I think that's kind of an endearing quality. I think part of part of Faith's charm is that she, in as much as she understands Bram's situation and sympathizes for him because they are friends, she's willing to call him out, and she does on several occasions. And that also transfers to other characters, not so much in the crossover, but in the main Haunting series. In issue 3, which is only just starting to be released, there's one of my favorite moments in the series so far is when she, calls out the series villain who, in the moment, Deacon, the name of the character, has all the power, has her captive, and she still calls him out on his hypocrisy when she finds out more about him. And it's I think it's a moment of bravery, but also just like a moment where she is willing to express herself and call out injustices that she sees.
So dislikes for Faith, and then Stephanie. I think her friend group, man. I don't know why she's friends with Bram. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, I know why, but I could see why you'd say that. I think that the thing I love about Steph, that she's like quick to action. I think Faith is when it comes to like dire situations, but when it comes to like interpersonal things, she's not always making the right choice right away. And I think this is something you'll see more of in Haunting in issue 4 and beyond. I think I'll tease it here and just say it concerns family relationships more so. And those are tricky, and I don't think she always makes the right call there. That's a little ominous. I apologize for it, but
what do you dislike about Stephanie?
I wish that she was bisexual, that her bisexuality was relevant sooner to the story.
You'll get there. You got like 2 issues. You're good.
Yeah, I know. But it took 9 issues. And, I love me a good queer story.
Yeah, she'll have a queer story after issue 8. It really just dives in, so it's really cool. And
in all seriousness, I don't really have an answer for Steph. I think she's my favorite like father like daughter character, and I think I guess my real answer is like I wanted to see like more of her own plot line early on, but I understand it's Casey's story. You have to focus on her, so I'm glad we're getting to her more in the crossover and then in issue 9 especially.
Well, thank you. And thank you for the question, Julius. And Wes, he likes superheroes.
Yeah, Wes, I think I like that, and I'm borrowing an answer I gave previously, but yeah, I like that despite being like this fanboy and being like excitable and, he being a super nerd character, he's still very empathetic to Casey and the fact that, this is not something that comes easily to her. And, he'll point out how much he's geeking out over something, but he'll never lose sight of that his friend is struggling with something, or maybe something isn't coming easily to her. And I respect that.
He's a good
Awesome. These are really, really good questions. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Our combo piece here is done, featuring these 3 awesome characters. I don't know where they're going. If Hotshot's involved, I think they just got through fighting and they're going to get burritos right now.
I love that they're rushing towards the food. That's what they're rushing towards.
They're rushing towards that caviar I was talking about earlier.
They are. They're trying to get that caviar.
That looks great. Wow. I can't believe it was drawn right in front of me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Michael, you gotta tell us your favorite and least favorite thing about Hotshot too.
Yeah, you gotta be on the spot.
My favorite thing about Hotshot is his passion to be a hero and do the things that he does. Like he's very open with he wears his feelings on his sleeves. Example, in the new issue, a tragedy happens and he feels responsible for it, and right there on the moment in the disaster, and he's not able to help. He just starts crying like in the middle of the floor. And he takes all that pain in. That's one of my favorite things, that he's there. He wants to help people. He really wants to be this superhero. My least favorite thing is that he just didn't tell Carla out the gate that he was a superhero. It's not the 1950s anymore, man. The superhero game has changed. If you would have just told her and involved her in this decision of choice, they'd still be together probably. And that's the biggest thing that's hampering him right now, that he has to deal with while trying to be a superhero. So
of course the dislikes have to do with Carla.
Yeah.
They're all connected to Carl.
Oh, and here comes Brad even saying the same thing. The worst thing. Wait till you guys read issue 0, damn it. Wait till y'all get this lettered issue 0. But I want to thank my 2 guys for coming on the show. Killer episode. So many jewels were dropped and just great questions from the chat as well. The link, I just put it in there again for both our Kickstarters. Remember, if you pledge to both of these Kickstarters, you will get this. This is going to Colors, and then you guys will get the print with these 3 awesome characters on there for pledging to both of our Kickstarters. I want to thank you all for kicking it with us tonight on this show. Big congrats go out to you guys because you guys have hit your goal, but you still got 2 more weeks, so there's plenty more damage that you guys can do on this Kickstarter. And you know my 3 rules. My 3 rules go like this, and it's pretty simple. You can back the Kickstarter, obviously finding whatever pledge level that you want and showing support. If money's tight and you don't have a whole lot, we're not going to turn away $1. $1 is another person on this campaign and helping get more people to see it. And if you don't have any money at all, that's perfectly fine because times are hard. We are in the, coming out of the brinks of a pandemic. Give us a share. Advocate for us on your social media networks. Advocate with us with your friends and family. There's somebody that you know that you don't know that likes comic books, and our books may be the exact thing that they're looking for. So if you've already pledged, please go ahead, keep pushing our books, keep sharing our books, because we don't have the big advertising campaign that Marvel and DC and Image does. As you see, we have this little show that I like to call Chat and Draw, and we're on our social media networks working our butts off to bring these original comic books out. Comic books, I would like to say, does not have forced diversity in them. These are things that we want to talk about. These are things that we want to express. These are things that we are living in our stories that we're telling. So, we don't answer to an administration office or by the numbers or anything like that. These are genuine, heartfelt stories that we're trying to get out to all of you. So I want to thank you all here for kicking it with us. And Kat, where can everybody find you?
At Comic Unos, definitely the best place on Twitter and YouTube. Those are probably the best places to find me.
Probably.
And
you can find that's me. You can find me on Twitter at Phil Falco Writes and on Instagram at Hunting Comic. And check out our current Kickstarter. It's gonna be great.
Please do. And Slice of Life. Go check out the webtoon.
You can check out the teaser right now. You can find the link in my Instagram and Twitter bios.
All right. Awesome. This thing is going off to Colors. So you guys will have this up very soon. And I'll have it out to you guys so you can update your Kickstarter with it, and I'll update mine as well. Thank you again for coming out here and hanging out and stuff. Wishing you more luck, more money, more problems, as you guys still have 2 weeks left on this Kickstarter. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight, and we will be back again. Good night, everybody.
I think that I should ask Mr. Watson. I think that I should ask Mr. Watson. I think that I should ask Mr. Watson. I think that I should ask Mr.